It might have the name of the show.
Well, this week on Reliving the Extreme, we are discussing the match, I guess, the episode of ECW from August 29th, 1995. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you, along with my brother Aaron.
Hello.
And a man who back in the saddle, feeling better. He wasn't with us last week, but Chad Austin, the star of the show, is back.
Oh, you put me over here?
Yeah.
Oh, you kind of like blacked out for a second. Either that, or I just walked in and I walked away from the speaker connection.
No, I just said you weren't with us last week, so the star of the show is back. Last week's probably our lowest rated episode because it was just me and Aaron. People are like, we don't listen to these fucking bones. But before we get into, it's going to be a quick show this week, folks, because this episode of ECW, and I'm not knocking the match itself, but it is literally, the expression, a one-match show. This is literally a one-match show that we're going to review this week. But before we get into that, we have not convened as a team to do the show since the passing of the Iron Sheik, Chad. So I know you had some history with the Sheik, and just didn't know if you wanted to tell us some stories or some memories of the late great Khosrow.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, we're doing a show about ECW. Sheiky baby, he was ECW before ECW. That guy, man. How he would go from, he would like treat you like the greatest bubble of all time, and then in the next breath, he'd be calling you a fucking jabroni, and he tried to throw me out of my car. I was driving him, and we were doing a show at a FOP lodge, Fraternal Order of Police, right? And we pulled right, and Sheiky baby told me to pull right in the front spot, like where the commander parks or whatever they call them, whoever the commanders of the top notch guys or whatever. And I'm parking right there, and all of a sudden this dude just starts pulling out weed and starts rolling joints. And I'm going, Sheik, we're right here in front of the goddamn police station or whatever. And all of a sudden he starts yelling at me and calling me a jabroni, and he tells me to get out of the car. I said, it's my car. And he kind of threw his hands in the air like he didn't. He just continued. He must have rolled, I don't know, 12 joints, maybe 15 joints. Like he just kept rolling them the whole entire time, And then there was a time where, this is probably one. Well, there was a couple, and there was another memorable story, but I really can't get into that one. But there was one when we were doing like road shows. Where we were like on the road for like a week. And he was working Slaughter every night, and I was his Ayatollah guy. And we had hotels, every night we had hotels. And I was in my room, and I just heard this big loud commotion in the hallway. And I just got up and I opened my door, and I see naked ass Sheik running down the hallway, chasing some little skinny black dude, or no, a Hispanic dude, and he's carrying a fucking sword. The Sheik is. And he's yelling, I'll kill you, jabroni, kill you, jabroni. And the guy sold him oregano. Because I pulled the Sheik back into my room. And I was like, you cannot do this. And then he's like, he pulled the bag out. I'm like, you bought that? And he's like, yeah, I'll kill that motherfucker. Like, dude, he's way gone. He ran through a room and jumped over a balcony. Like you're chasing him down the hallway, a big 250-pound Iranian guy swinging a sword naked. Oh yeah, that guy's gone.
he's never coming back to this building ever again.
He ain't never gonna sell any oregano in that fucking hotel anymore. But yeah, them Sheik stories, man. I mean, Danny brought him in from MCW. He brought him in just for his wedding. Like, just to have him there. You know what I mean? Like the cake. It's the wedding. They brought the Sheik in. and he was the Sheik. And he was sitting in a chair out in the lobby. And I walked over to him, and I really fake chopped him. Almost like you would chop like a kid. like really fake chopped him, and he thought I was coming in with it, and he jumped he almost took a bump off the back of the chair, and then when he realized that it was like a play chop, he started yelling at me again. Oh, you fucking jabroni, you embarrass me, and he starts chasing me again. Like this is when the Benny Hill music came out because there was so many. It was a big venue, so there was so many like open doors to get into the main room that I could run in the door. He could chase me in the door. I run back out the door. And I'd sit down the hallway and I'd see him come running back at me again. But the next day, Chad Bubba, you know what I mean?
Is that is MCW the promotion that you worked with him in, or did you just work with him on just random indies?
Oh yeah, I worked with him on a bunch of indies, but like MCW would bring him in just like as the promoter would like to have him there, just to bring him in. Like, no, you ain't gotta do anything. You know,
just be a centerpiece. Yeah,
dude, it's just great having the Sheik here. So we're just gonna bring you in. Plus, he was cheap. You wouldn't believe how cheap he was, man. We're talking like $150, like to bring him in. And then you might have to plus him on airplane ticket, or you could piggyback him off of like a Carluzzo or somebody who's already gonna bring him in anyway. Or a John Rambo, who he's in Maryland too. So yeah, you could piggyback him off of that. But yeah, he was like dirt cheap. And then for other guys, I heard other prices, and they weren't Danny's prices. Put it that way.
So if you're gonna sum up, like as far as his career goes, through his entire, because I know you more than me, even though I've watched a lot of wrestling from a lot of territories over the years, you definitely more than me. So from kind of a fan, a fellow worker, and a somewhat historian, what territory and run would you say is your favorite of the Sheiks?
Oh, dude. I mean, the Sheik's run is legitimately unheralded. Like, Georgia, 82, 83.
That's the stuff I haven't really seen that I've heard is really good. Him in Georgia. Honest to God, I haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, him and Paul Orndorff was a great rivalry. And him and Rich, him with the clubs. But then you go to Mid-South. It's like he did the same run everywhere, but he just had different players. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like in Louisiana, he had like Junkyard Dog and Mr. Wrestling 2 or Ted DiBiase when he was a babyface. And then in Georgia, who do you think he had? Tommy Rich. and then he had a great feud, which is classic too. He had a great feud with Ivan Koloff. Like, how do you book that?
the Russian and the Iranian.
Yeah, who do you think? Did you think the crowd wanted to see any of them win? Like, we just want to see you guys kill each other. And that was a great feud, and that went through Georgia and it went to Florida. So I mean, and then Sheik in Memphis. That's when I think everything went wrong for Sheik. I think once he touched down in Memphis is when he discovered the other side of the business.
Yeah, I've seen the Mid-South stuff and I've seen the Memphis stuff. I haven't seen the Georgia stuff. And another thing I'll say for him is he was a consummate performer in that he could read the room. An example that I will use is I dare you to watch the Sheik anytime he was on Tuesday Night Titans, okay? And not be thoroughly entertained. He knew
Claude.
Claude, exactly. He knew that now I am no longer in a serious fucking environment here. I am on a fucking variety show, and I'm going to be as entertaining as shit. And he was.
And he didn't crack either.
Go ahead, Aaron.
And I was just going to say, kind of like what you were saying, like with the Tuesday Night Titans thing and all that, like he had an entire career before he got to the WWF. But once he got there, he was one of the guys that understood it and knew what it was about. And it's like, he was still a badass and still a wrestler, but he understood, hey, I'm here now. I'm gonna make my fucking money, and I'm gonna ride this thing for as long as I can. And people can say what they want to say about like Hogan and Piper, that the WWF wouldn't have had the success that it had without those two, but there's no Hulkamania without the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
He's the Sheik, and like he got that reputation because he didn't no show. He was an Iranian, whatever you call it, whatever they call it. He was an Iranian guy, anti-American, and he embraced that shit like 24/7. So he was doing it in a time where that shit was legitimate. There was legitimate heat for that shit. So like he earned like the credit, the reputation to be like, you can do whatever the fuck you want, Sheik. You know what I mean? Like you got this far. Nobody's killed you. So yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And just the fact that like the story about him in the drug test. And
yeah, where they told him it was positive, and he thought that was a good thing.
Positive. Yeah, brother. Yeah, Bubby.
I tell you, Bubba. I tell you, Sheiky, and he had to explain to him. That's the fucking Sheik, man. That's the shit that makes the Sheik the Sheik. And he figure he's lived in this country for fucking what? Since 1947 or some shit. Yet he still acts like he don't know what the fuck's going on. Oh, the American law. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, that's the gimmick, and he knows how to play the gimmick. You know what I mean? He got away with murder, man. Basically, what he got away with.
One of the best outtakes ever is when he kills that fucking turkey or whatever. When he's like choking it, and then he like slams the fucking door down on its neck, fucking murders a turkey. His Hall of Fame induction speech is like in the top 5 best ones ever done. Like it's fucking amazing.
His Hall of Fame speech is in the top 1 of all the Hall of Fame speeches.
I love it. I love that he ends his Hall of Fame speech with "Have a nice day, peace."
Have a good day, peace.
I just love how he went. He just kept, and then he would just keep going.
And fucking Gene being up there with him made it fucking perfect. Like, and the fact that he got to win the WrestleMania 17 gimmick battle royal because they were like, he can't bump over the rope like everybody else could.
and the fact that they went out. The fact that they went out on a limb to actually say that in the commentary. He can't go over the rope.
Bobby said when the Iron Sheik came out, they were like, by the time he gets to the ring, it'll be WrestleMania 37.
Dude, didn't like 2 people pass him that were coming out? Like he's walking down the hall. And I think like Virgil, like
the gobbledygooker passes him.
Everybody's just walking by him, he's waving to the fans. He's still supposed to be a heel, I guess, right? Because he was the salty, sympathetic guy at that time, and he's out there kissing, and he's waving to the fans, walking to the ring.
Aaron and I have discussed this before. No matter how dastardly a heel you are, once you reach a certain age, you're automatically a babyface. You're automatic because you become a nostalgia act for people, and then no matter how dastardly and evil you are, other than Chris Benoit, you're a babyface.
Like even Ted DiBiase, like he got old and he was like, "Who wants the money?" Like now he's passing out the money. Like he's the old grandpa that just like, "Here's the money."
Yeah, it just becomes like a parody of like what it used to be, And like Nikolai, when he used to wear the shirt that said penny, had a penny sign on it.
Had the penny sign on it.
Yeah. You're fucking Nikolai Volkov and shit. And then and then the Sheik, and the list goes like Vince always brought them guys back, which was great. You gotta commend that.
Mm-hmm.
To a certain respect, is that like 20 years before that, his father was booking them guys, and take care of these guys, and Vince always did all that. Did you like seeing the like the training sessions with the Sheik and stuff like that, man? Back from like 1972 when they showed all that shit when he was like at the Gagne. Who wasn't at that camp?
Yeah, with him and Flair.
Patera, Flair.
It was
Brunzel, Gagne. Yeah, that was like one of the greatest camps.
Was Slaughter in that camp?
Slaughter was in that camp. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he was in that one or the next one.
I think on the level of those guys, but I think it was like those guys and then Jerry Black.
But Blackwell was in it too.
I think so. Yeah.
See, there you go, man. That's a who's who of guys that could work, And I could never have with my dedication to the wrestling business at that level, where I would have done that, like drove all the way up to like whatever, somewhere close to Minnesota or Canada, and then did the Vern Gagne training, and then drive the ring truck, and then
Vern Gagne putting you through the hoops, and wearing his little stocking cap.
Yeah, I wasn't down. I wasn't getting into business that way.
How many push-ups can you do with these 4 hay bales on your back?
Yeah, I could do like 4 push-ups with no hail bells on my back.
And it's like after that, now we're gonna have you work with Billy Robinson.
Yeah. After he makes you run 24 miles.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's like Billy can kick the shit out of me after I ran 1 mile. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
I'm not running from shit. Like I'm not running, period. I don't care who's chasing me. You're gonna catch me because I ain't fucking running. I don't think I have a stride in me anymore. Like when I do my next show in July, me and my partner Dino versus the Headbangers from Maryland Championship Wrestling. I think when they throw me into the ropes, I'm gonna tell them you're gonna have to walk me into the ropes because I'm not gonna be running.
Ease me into the ropes.
I'm gonna trot.
That's even if I do that. Like I don't think anybody in that company knows that headbangers aren't going to do it. I ain't going to do anything, and my partner can't do anything. So they're going to have to find some smoke and some mirrors for this fucking match, because I can already tell you right now, it ain't going to be fucking good. And my wife's already got like 30 people coming and shit, and I'm like, dude, I don't know why you're doing this.
When is the event?
It's like July 23rd or something for MCW. It's me, and it's the reformation of like one of the greatest factions that Maryland Championship Wrestling ever had. It was called TQM, Total Quality Management, and it was all about some guy. It says Jimmy Cicero. You know who he is.
Yeah. Well,
like he was.
We need to get you guys together and do like a reunion podcast show.
Oh, I'm sure Cis will do it, man. Because I mean, he'll do it. Cis will probably do anything. But yeah, he was kind of like the leader of this like self-help guru, brainwashed kind of thing. And the gimmick was he took a bunch of guys that were like losers, and you listen to me because I was on like a 20 match loss streak or whatever it was. And I was the first guy that he came and got, and then he branched out. Dude, it was the most overact in Maryland, like for years it was. Like, and we thought it was like, I look at that shit like local independent stuff is bullshit. I mean, I'm just doing this shit on Saturday night because I got nothing else to do. But then we started taking notice that now we're wrestling Brian Lawler and Jerry Lawler and, and the Road Dogg, and, we're working like, then we started working like the Van Hammer and the local DJ of whatever fucking city, you know what I mean? like whatever town it was that we worked. They were like, dude, we were over, man. And I was just like, I had no idea because I just thought it was fucking just a gimmick. No, we were over, man.
It's Chad Austin versus JT and the Monkey in the Morning.
Yeah, dude, it was. It was Cowboy and it was Van Hammer and Cowboys. That was the DJ's name, Cowboy. And I went with Van Hammer. He liked me. We worked a bunch of times. And my partner Tino, he took the Cowboy, who was the local DJ, who had about 3 hours worth of training, like kind of thing. And while me and Van Hammer were working, we're watching and we're laughing as Dino is beating the shit out of this dude. Like he's bouncing him off the walls. He's like putting him through tables. And here's me and Van Hammer working a rear chin lock. And, and we're just kind of talking to ourselves like, dude, look at the way Dino's beating the shit out of fucking Mad Dog.
Was Van Hammer a good worker?
No. Oh no, he was.
I wanted to ask because he's one of my, not to knock the guy or whatever, but he's like one of my least favorite people I've ever seen on wrestling television.
It's like, not that he's a bad. It's not that he's a bad worker. I take that back. Like when you mean bad worker, are you talking about just like in the ring, like what he can do? Yeah, he was terrible. He was awful. But he knew what to do to get over. So in that sense,
so that's kind of what I was saying. Like, did he understand his limitations or whatever?
Oh yeah. He wouldn't. There was no chance. And any time that I've worked him, that he initiate what we're going to do in that match, and it wasn't always me either that would say it. Somebody would be like, "No, you're not. He ain't booking this match," because he couldn't do it.
It's like I didn't know if he had like, just didn't know if he had like delusions of grandeur. That he's like fucking better than what he was.
Oh no, man. I mean, when it came to that, I definitely got to tell you that he was 100%. On the same page that we were. Like we knew that you're listening to us. This is going to be your spot. This is what I mean. We know what you can do, so we're going to tell you when you're going to do it.
I was going to say natural ability or working ability or not, for the guy pretty much, other than once he got to the indies after WCW, he pretty much spent his whole career in WCW, so he worked with a lot of fucking talent. So he had to pick something up along the way. You know what I mean? Like he had to pick something up.
Lunch. Dude, I don't think that. I don't think he. I think what it was he knew like he knew what he had. His physique. All that, the look, the whole rock and roll thing. So he's like, all right, if I can just do this, and this, then I'm all right, Mm-hmm. There's no reason for me to learn how to hit the ropes. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean?
Just gonna swing the axe and bang the head and let the other guys bump.
He couldn't even stomp. Like when he was Van Hammer. He couldn't even stomp with the beat of his music. It's fucking trash.
It wasn't happening. Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, dude, he was a great guy. I mean, he's still alive, I think. Is he dead like Pitbull 1?
No, he's still alive. He had some legal shit. Like he ran over a kid.
Oh, that's some legal shit, all right. He ran over a kid. All right. He's a great guy. Man. I thoroughly enjoyed him because he took care of me and Dino.
I'm not saying he did it on purpose. He did it accidentally, but yeah, he did run over.
Hey, we just had that happen here in Baltimore just 2 days ago. Dude was dropping somebody off for like an Uber, and some little 24-month-old ran right in front of the car, and the Uber driver didn't see it.
Whenever I'm driving, I tell my wife all the time, whenever I'm driving and I see kids, even if they're 100 yards away, I see kids on bikes or playing or whatever, I slow down because I'm like, kids are fucking unpredictable, man. You do not know what they're gonna do and what they're gonna just fucking ride their bike right out in front of you. I drive like 2 when I see a kid.
Yeah.
I'm like,
they're like fucking Sabu. Like, I don't know what this fucking guy's gonna do.
Yeah, these motherfuckers just turn around on the drop of a dime. Like they're riding down the street, just straight line. All of a sudden, now I'm turning. You know, so yeah, I'm like I'm creeping like 2 car lanes behind him. You know what I mean? Because I know this motherfucker's gonna just turn around out of nowhere. I walked out the fucking store the other day. I was going on my fucking break, and I was coming out of the goddamn break room, and some dude took a fucking bicycle off the rack and he rode a wheelie past me. As I was walking out of the break room, like by the bathrooms. Like I was like walking right in the middle of the aisle, and all of a sudden this little dude's gonna ride by me riding a wheelie. Like in the fucking store. And I'm just like, God damn, man, this is a fucking circus.
I gotta tell you, talking about the kids like pulling out in front of your car and shit, it reminds me. You know, we live in a small podunk town in Ohio, and probably about, I don't know, 15 to 20 years ago, they had this dude around here that would do the fucking ride his bicycle in front of somebody's car for the insurance deal, right?
Oh.
So small town, 1 courthouse, 1 police department, et cetera, et cetera. After a while, they cut onto this fucking ham bone.
I was gonna say how many.
Funny story. They made him have to have a light on his bike and a light on his helmet, and he had to wear the helmet like a light, like a revolving light, you know. So yeah, so they literally legally mandated this fucking idiot to have to wear these lights on his bike and on his helmet so people could see him.
Bumper Dave, wasn't it?
Bumper Dave, yes, you got it. I forgot the name. Bumper Dave.
He had a name. He had a gimmick.
Yeah, it was his gimmick. He was Bumper Dave.
Bumper Dave. I don't know anything about Bumper Dave. I'm sure.
We also have this guy that drives around and he dresses like fucking like 2004 Undertaker with like a black trench coat and a black cowboy hat, and he has like black fucking contact lenses, and he rides around on one of them fucking Segways.
Yes.
That's all you need to say.
And he'll just be riding his Segway down the road, fucking blaring like REO Speedwagon. And dude tried to run. He tried to run for mayor.
At least he wasn't blasting Little River Band.
Or
dude,
I'll be sitting outside the local bar smoking a cigarette, and I'll just hear like like that guy'll just be like rolling down with his fucking.
Dude, we got.
Where's the Midnight Rider there?
I remember, man. I live in Baltimore. We got dozens of them. Like we've got probably more than dozens. When you're a character and you're in Baltimore, you're a fucking character, dude. You know what I mean? Like you don't fuck around and do it half-ass. You show up. We got so many fucking shims that come into work that I'm like, dude, why are you even trying this? Like, you know, you're way too much of a guy to be wearing this outfit, trying to be a girl and shit. He's all big and bulky. I think he's got a United States Marine tattoo on his arm.
Do you got the guys that lost their license through DUIs, so now they drive fucking riding lawnmowers around?
No, we don't get to ride. We got the scooters is what we get. No, we don't get to ride. I've had one. I will say this, that there was one. But like literally where he lived at, all he had to do was cross over one street to get into the parking lot. That's where he lived. So that wasn't that big of a deal, but I can imagine you guys get them hillbillies.
We got plenty of hillbillies that don't have cars and can't fucking drive because they lost their licenses. So they
we
drive
live in Podunk, but we grew up in the city, and some city characters too. Like where we grew up in Toledo, Ohio, there was a guy that would be downtown in Toledo preaching the Bible, but he dressed as Batman. So we had the Batman preacher.
I got a Batman too.
Hey, everybody's got a Batman.
I do. I got a Batman and I got a Spider-Man.
The one lawnmower guy. Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't have the lawnmower guy though.
But the lawnmower man, the one he has fucking like gigantic fucking phlebitis legs, and he wears these like orthopedic socks. Nate, have you ever seen that guy?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, one day he drove his fucking riding lawnmower up to the shortstop, and the shortstop is a fucking gas station, but
I know.
did not I think realize how much gas he had on, like in his riding lawnmower, and that he drove it up there to get like a fucking Pepsi, and then his shit wouldn't start back up. Like he ran out of gas, and his shit was just stuck. And
with his legs,
with his phlebitis legs,
yes.
and his orthopedic socks, and he like everybody that like I was one of them. I come walking out, and he's like, can you spot me a 5 for gas? I'm like, no. Like you've made your decisions, you know. So I was just like, I'm gonna sit in my car and see if anybody gives this guy fucking money. I sat there for like 15 minutes to see if Lawnmower Man got money. He got nothing. At least I'm better than that guy. Like that's the way I look at like fucking clown shoes like that. Like I feel bad about myself, but it's like at least I'm not driving a lawnmower to the gas station to buy a fucking Pepsi. Like I
Dude, don't fucking hate, dude.
I don't hate them, but at least I'm not as bad.
My ass is buying it. Is gonna buy an Amigo, like the kind that Walmart has, the little carts. Because I live about like 4 city blocks from the liquor store, and I hate that fucking walk. And my wife won't let me Uber just to the liquor store like 4 blocks. So I'm gonna either pick up one of them fucking Amigos from the house from work and bring it home, or I'm gonna buy one, and you're gonna see going to hell at 3 miles an hour. Up the street with a case of fucking natural light in the fucking front of the fucking car, dude. I'm telling you, before I die, there's gonna be a picture of that shit.
There's nights I'm sitting alone in my fucking recliner eating a goddamn cardboard pizza, drinking fucking Budweiser. I'm like, I'm sad. I suck. And then I wake up, rub the crust out of my eyes, and be like, oh, I gotta go buy a pack of Newports. I suck. And then I get there, and there's phlebitis Lawnmower Man begging for gas money. And then I'm like, I'm the best.
Yeah, it makes you feel better.
I'm George Clooney, man. I'm the Rock.
I'm lighting my cigarettes with $1 bills.
Yes.
All day, Dad.
Lighting my cigarettes off a warm quarter.
Yeah, you're rubbing nickels together. And then you give up and just ask somebody for a light. They were, hey man, can I borrow a light? Like, what are you going to give it back to them? You going to touch lighters? Oh, can I borrow a light? Yeah, okay, but I mean, I need that light back. Wait, I don't know how many lights are in my Bic anymore, so. You got to put them the ends together and hit the little button. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's going to work. You're not borrowing a light.
Well, for those of you that tune into this show to hear us review ECW, I guess we can spend what, Aaron?
I was gonna I thought of review the match, and then I'll ask my question.
Okay. So this is going to be a super quick review of the show this week. And honestly, like I said at the beginning, this is not a knock on the match. The match is one of the classic wrestling matches of the 90s. But the thing is we're here to review a TV show, and the entire TV show is this one match. So I guess we'll do this. We start the show. Joey introduces a recap of everything we've seen between Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko at ECW. Then we get Joey style. Is this the first time Joey's done the center ring introduction in the arena?
No, he did it before with Shane. I mean, he at least did it before with Shane.
Okay.
Like,
when Shane brought out Sherry.
I think Nate was asking about. I think Nate was asking about ring introductions.
No. I was asking about like the classic "Welcome to Extreme Championship Wrestling," and he's in the center of the ring.
He's done that.
I got maybe this one just made a bigger impact on me than in the past, because I guess in my mind I just up until now just remember when he's standing at ringside. But Joey introduces us to the ECW arena, or welcomes us, and he says, "Last night in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, we have a new." Arena. We have a new ECW TV champion, and he brings out Too Cold Giggling Scorpio. Oh, giggling Too Cold Scorpio.
Yeah. Good old neon diaper.
Yeah, okay.
I missed that from last week. Chad, when Too Cold would wear his long trunks, it was fine. But when he was wearing these like short trunks, when he was wearing these trunks, it looks like a fucking neon Depends.
He's got a big fucking ass. I mean, that's not a knock on the guy. He's a big fucking dude to begin with. But yeah, he's got a big ass caboose. He's got junk in the trunk, if you will. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I like, what's even worse with Scorpio is them blowouts that he wore, where they had like the holes in them, because they were originally designed when he worked for WCW. There was he wore a pair underneath of that. So when he had the blowouts, it would be like silver or like gray or something like, in the back of it. But then he got all cheap and just stopped wearing the underneath ones. And he just looked like he was just running down the street, just doing like sliding on his knees with his knees all busted out of his pants. Jeez.
Too Cold cuts a promo here about being the TV champion 3 times, and
he tries to.
He tries to.
Yeah.
Joey asks him about Taz. It's his vendetta with Taz, and of course, again, we love Too Cold in the ring, as we always say on this show. But the promo is really, really not so good.
No, he's not. That's not. That's. I spent enough time. I bet you I've walked out of the ECW arena more times on a Too Cold Scorpio attempt to do a promo than anybody else on the roster.
Yeah, he's like
how Paul wanted you to always stay. Like, he wanted everybody to stay until promos were done. And I bet you I must have sat through 45 minutes of Scorpio trying to tell somebody he's going to do the whirly bird and didn't know what the fuck he was going to say. And I'm sure I just threw my hands in the air. And I was like, I ain't got time.
And he tries
I'm not learning anything here.
Like a stupid.
Oh, I'd stick around for Terry Funk. Terry Funk could talk for 4 hours, and it'd be 3:30 in the morning, and I'd still be sitting in the locker room listening to him. You got Scorpio over there talking about, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I didn't never mind.
Laughing like a black Roscoe Pico train.
Did you hear his music?
Oh, it's awful. It's actually right here on my notes. Too Cold out to crappy WWE Network music.
Dude, it was like awful Kid and Play, which is awful. Like, Kid and Play itself is bad. Like, they made a parody of Kid and Play.
It's like you own Here Comes Too Cold Scorpio. Why don't just overdub it with that? Even though that was bad.
What song was he coming out to with there? Was he coming out to Whoop There It Is?
Probably, or Hot Stepper.
No, Public Enemy. No.
That was Public Enemy.
Yeah, Public Enemy used Hot Stepper. So he might have been using Whoop There It Is. He's coming out to I Got a Man by Positive K.
Dude, that music that music that he had was brutal.
Maybe he came out to Tennessee by Arrested Development.
When's this? Was he arrested in Tennessee? You mean?
Probably.
Yeah, that's what he came out to. Yeah, I don't know. I just heard that music and I'm like, this is like sad, even on a WWE like generic music level. This is like brutally bad.
Too Cold coming to the sounds of Tribe Called Quest. So after the Too Cold debacle of an interview, Joey discusses in the ring about the WCW New Japan connection. And because of said connection, because of said alliance between WCW and New Japan, Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero must exit ECW. And they did this. You can tell that they had respect for these guys because they did this with class. You know, when Sabu left, Paulie went in the ring and said Sabu chose Japan over being here and just totally shit on him and everything. Here, they do their best to make sure that they're not shitting on the talent for leaving. They're just saying these are circumstances we can't circumvent, and these guys have to leave ECW.
No, the Sabu deal was Sabu fucked Paul. You know, double booked himself on a day. Dean and Eddie gave notice. You know, because WCW at that time they weren't being like they weren't into that dick mode yet, where you know it wasn't anywhere near like the wars, none of that shit like going on. So yeah, Dean like Eddie and Dean went in the locker room and thanked everybody and congratulated, you know, and hugged everybody and like they had notice. So it wasn't like Paul like that night found out that they were leaving.
Right.
So he had time. He had time to figure out what he was going to do to, you know, give them, you know, their flowers, so to speak, and then figure out what I'm going to do next. You know, who's going to be the next two guys? But give them, you know, they're already here, so why not use them? You know.
Was Chad? If you don't know, it's fine. But was the narrative they said true, where Bischoff pulled these guys are working for New Japan and they can't be here because we got this deal? Because Bischoff says that Eddie and Dean left because they were getting paid.
They weren't getting paid from ECW?
Yeah.
Oh, that could have been, yeah, shit. Yeah, that could have been 100% true, but I never heard anything about New Japan being behind any of this, like any of this, because we all knew like if we were in the summertime and we had a string of shows, if Eddie or you know or Benoit or anybody wasn't on that show, they were probably in Japan, you know. So, but yeah, I never heard of I've never heard of that. I don't know anything about that. But I mean, as far as not getting paid, that completely could be possible.
Yeah, because just the narrative I've heard about those guys leaving was that Paulie said that Bischoff did like the power play with these guys work with New Japan, and if you're going to continue with ECW, you're not going to get your New Japan contract, and they were obviously making more money in New Japan, and Paulie just said that Bischoff stole those guys. So it's two of the biggest bullshitters in the history of wrestling bullshitting each other, but I don't know who's right and who's wrong.
Dude, I personally think that Bischoff was a fan of ECW. That's what I did. I think he loved the whole entire thing. Anytime he bit a little bit of any like anything he could get out of, you know what I mean? His name being rubbed against it or whatever. I think Bischoff loved it. I totally do. And I thought that was like, that was kind of like his like whenever he started doing like booking WCW, I think he used that as like this is what I want to use. You know what I mean? This model of this company is a you know it's a threat and we're just taking all the people. You know, we took Mikey Whipwreck for Christ's sake. And I always thought that he liked that shit, dude. Because when he recognized me, when I worked for WCW, when he recognized me, then I was like, dude, you watch this shit. If you recognize me, You know what I mean? I'm not, I could see if I was Hack Myers, or somebody that stood
But
out.
I think to be honest with you, and honestly, I can say this because I can't say this because it's like not like I've had a beer with the guy or whatever, but I was on John Arezzi's podcast one time, and the other person on the show was Bischoff. That was his guest that week. So I got to talk to Bischoff a little bit. And to me, in that environment, he came off as a very cool, very down-to-earth guy. I think what happened to Bischoff was he started out a wrestling fan and was really enamored with being in the business and really enjoyed it. And like you said, Chad, he's probably watching things that aren't even the company he's working for because he's a wrestling fan. And then he just got sucked up into the fame. He got sucked up into I'm hanging out with Nash and Hall and Hogan and smoking cigars. And I think that's what happened is that he comes off when you talk to him in person as a very, very regular guy. I just think for a little bit there, he just got caught up in the fucking whirlwind of success.
Because he didn't get brought up the right way. Like he didn't get brought like that Vern Gagne shit. Come on, seriously, stop it. That's not being brought up in the right way in the wrestling business. But I mean, and he got thrown into what 2 years, and then the quote unquote wrestling business thrown into like a semi top spot like WCW that's already completely mismanaged and all over the board. And then all of a sudden he finds himself creeping up the ranks of some company that has no idea what the fuck they're doing. They're just, they're firing people like it's a bodily function, and they're just moving people around all over the place because they didn't have a clue what they were doing. And he found himself, in a spot where he was making decisions, and when you get to that point. And you weren't, like I said, brought up right.
Yeah, it's like if David Byrne was here right now, he'd be like, and you may find yourself in charge of a wrestling company.
That's right.
Once in a lifetime. What is drowning? I don't know what to do. But this might be a stupid question. Let's ask this. Out of the two guys, because wrestling was... How do I say it? Like wrestling was successful in the 80s, but it was never more successful during the Monday Night Wars. But if you got to take Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff, who would you say is the biggest of the two? Who is the biggest fan of professional wrestling? Not sports entertainment, not whatever. Like biggest.
I have to actually pick one of them.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, it would be like either one of them. Because Vince was I guess it would have to be Bischoff.
I think Bischoff too. I think Bischoff was a bigger fan of professional wrestling.
Of making movies,
Bischoff was a bigger professional wrestling fan.
But I don't even know what that's. I don't even know what that's saying. Because apparently he wasn't that big of a fucking fan. He stunk.
But I just think of the art of professional wrestling and what it meant. I think Bischoff was a bigger fan of it.
Yeah, because he came from the AWA. Like the only thing he did learn, I guess, from being in the AWA was slow and steady. Angles, slow cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
rush him.
And I think Bischoff was a bigger fan of professional wrestling because he didn't bring guys in and try to like make them WCW guys, like where Vince would bring in a guy and make him a WWF guy. Vince or Bischoff would just be like, oh, I'm going to bring in Ultimo Dragon and let Ultimo Dragon be Ultimo Dragon, or I'm going to bring in Ray and let Ray be Ray.
Dude, he's the first guy that brought Jushin Liger to the States.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think that Eric was a bigger supporter of professional wrestling. And that's where I'll give credit to Bischoff over. He wasn't as good of a businessman and as a promoter as Vince, but as a
that's what I was about to say. I would say you're right. Bischoff was a better a bigger fan of professional wrestling. But if we're going to, it's like that Scott Hall quote. Everybody wants to call it the wrestling business until we start treating it like it's a business. So the guy that was best for the business was Vince McMahon.
Well, I know that wasn't the question.
You also got to remember that Vince was playing with Vince's money.
Right.
Bischoff wasn't money.
Yeah, like I said, that
answer to Ted Turner.
So, like I said, Nate, that wasn't the question I was asking. Was who was the better businessman? I was just asking who's the better, who is the bigger professional wrestling fan. I think Bischoff is a bigger professional wrestling fan than Vince McMahon. There's times that I think Vince fucking hates professional wrestling.
He won't even say the words professional wrestling.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't get it. That's
not what he does. He's in the movie business. Or whatever the fuck he's in the monkey business. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. Sometimes, according to his lawyers, he's in the risky business. He's all diddling people and stuff. Vince the diddler.
Isn't it funny that after all the years that he like pretty much sucked Vince's ass, that the fall guy became John Laurinaitis? Like Vince got to stick around and everything, and John Laurinaitis, they were like, "You're the one that's taking the fall for all this shit, buddy. You're out. You're the sacrificial lamb."
I think for a second that wasn't set up.
Oh, there's no doubt. Like Vince was like, this fucking Mark, this fucking Rube, he's been sucking my ass for 10 years. He's the one going down on this shit.
Eventually, this retard's gonna.
If it wasn't him, it was probably going to be an Armstrong. You know what I mean? There was somebody, Vince, and Laurinaitis just happened to be in the office across the hall. And when this guy's taking this. I believe that shit 100%.
Hey Vince, how are you doing? Like that's my John Laurinaitis. Hey Vince,
oh, okay.
How are you?
I thought because all of a sudden, Nate was gone. I thought he was talking to like his wife or something.
No, I'm just smoking a smoke.
Yeah, like Laurinaitis, dude. Totally. I'm sure Vince had to call him in and go, "Look, this is what's going to happen." And don't worry about it.
John Laurinaitis is the guy on the lawnmower with the orthopedic socks. He's just the loser that Vince is like, I'm gonna let this guy take the fucking fall.
Yep. Sorry, pal, you're doing the job.
But he's gonna pay him generously.
Oh yeah,
to do it, dude. He got so much money. He was making. I had the Observer. How much money he was making when he was just a guy who came in that was doing like the talent, like shit, like scouting the talent. Where he was like expensing like trips to Japan for like 6 weeks. You know what I mean? What did we get? We didn't get anything out of that. We got Lalani Kai. He's from Hawaii. You know what I mean? Like we didn't get like anything out of what he did his first run. I think it wasn't until like shit happened before Vince kind of sat him down and said, "Look, you really gotta have to do something here." You know what I mean? It was like George Costanza working at fucking like Kramerica or whatever, or Vandalay Industries. It was some bogus company, bogus job title, whatever. But Laurinaitis, what did he end up doing at the end of the day? What do you think his biggest contribution was?
CM Punk?
I mean, you can give me wrestler, you can give me angle, you can give me anything. What was his biggest contribution?
Being the fall guy for Vince McMahon.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the only thing good about John Laurinaitis that I will say was he's a really good finish guy, man. Like he's top of the line when it comes to finishes. But he was above that. Like he wasn't, he was a fucking right below Vince. He wasn't at TVs, you know what I mean? Like helping guys go over finishes. No, but I'm like, you're one of the best in the business. Look at you. You learn from Stan Hansen. You learn from Terry Gordy. You learn from Tenru, of all fucking of all people. And you're not. You're walking around like smacking papers around like it's Paul Ellering with the Wall Street Journal and shit. And these guys could benefit from your wealth of knowledge, but nah, yeah, he ain't fucked up with this shit. He's probably diddling.
Well, the match itself, Eddie and Dean, 2 out of 3 falls. And it's a great match. And if you haven't seen it, then you obviously don't listen to the show and you're living under a rock. So I can't say too much about it other than it's fucking fantastic. It was a great send-off for these guys.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I mean, remind me if I'm mistaken, but there was a certain spot in the match, and this particular match, that I don't remember. I remember them doing, but I don't remember them seeing on TV. But they did it a million times. Do you know what the fish out of water spot is?
Yeah.
You know, the roll through, sunset flip, kick up, push, they didn't do this. They didn't do it in this match.
No, and you know what? Till you mentioned it, I didn't even realize it, but you're right. It wasn't. They didn't do that in this match.
They had a whole different moveset. They had a whole different match in here because I was expecting to see it and I was waiting to make a note about fish out of water. There you go. They're gonna do that spot, roll into the cloverleaf. It's an excellent match. I mean, what the fuck you gonna tell me? I mean, it was great.
This might sound dumb, and if you guys think it is, fine. But I attribute this to, if you want to go generational wise with it, it's like the equivalent of the 80s when Tiger Mask and Dynamite went into Madison Square Garden and did their shit. And then Pillman and Liger going into that.
That's not happening. Go stick with the first one.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, with the reaction of people seeing shit.
Oh, okay. After the whole body of the match, I got you. All right.
Yeah, like it's the equivalent of that. It's like two guys doing something in front of a crowd of people that have never seen anything like this.
And to show you how good they are, this is the ECW arena. So if it was probably any other two guys and Joey before the match had announced they're leaving and going to WCW, this crowd would have been chanting, "Go fuck off, go fuck off." Instead, they were chanting, "Please don't go, please don't go."
Yeah, please don't go. Yeah, they definitely were. I mean, I could tell you firsthand because I was there that like that little tiny 9-inch TV monitor that was sitting in the back of that locker room on that big table, and chairs started piling up. Like people started moving over, and I was already in the front row, like sitting in the front row watching it, and I was like, yeah, this shit's all right, man. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I would have had my technology or the technology we had today to be texting somebody a friend of mine and be like, you're not gonna believe this shit. Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko are just killing this shit. But it took about what? I don't know. I would say about 7-8 minutes before the crowd to actually catch on to it, because all they were doing was they were just doing the opening shit, so the crowd didn't have any idea where it was going. So there wasn't a ton of a major reaction for the first few minutes of the spots, because they had no idea like where the match was going. 17 minutes in, 22 minutes in, you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden the people just they bought in and was like, dude, this is some shit, and you're seeing it. And then you kind of like, once you get it and you look around and you say, look, I'm one of all these people right here that are seeing this shit. You know what I mean? And that kind of stuff is special on that kind of level when when you're seeing something that's one of a kind. You ain't gonna see that shit again. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And that's actually in my notes here that because Eddie wins the first fall with a roll up, Dean wins the second fall with a cloverleaf. And I am normally not a fan, honestly, of a double pin finish. I think it's a cheap way out, and I'm not a big fan of it normally. In this match, I think it's perfect. Because you have these guys that have traded the TV title back and forth. They've had great matches every time they've been in the ring together. They've had this saga in ECW. And it's a cool way to wrap up their run in the company with them kind of, ending even Steven, I guess is the best way to put it.
And I thought it was cool is because both guys are smart enough to have realized that their shoulders shouldn't have been down. So they acted like it wasn't my shoulder. You know what I mean? Like they had that whole entire thing like whose shoulder was down? And they came across that way with that kind of that little reaction of like, well, whose was down? And so that was a good little spin on it too. But yeah, what a classy way, like you said, to send two guys off for the next journey and shit. And the crowd didn't shit on them, which was Jesus. How many times did the crowd just shit on people when they left? And it's always the guys that you would think they weren't going to shit on. You know what I mean? The Benoits didn't shit on them. Shane shit on. These guys.
Sabu.
These guys. Yeah, I mean the ECW crowd was like, "Go make your fucking money." That's what they were doing because they were finally getting the chance. Dean Malenko's been in the business 14 years by this point. Who the fuck ever heard of him? Joe, his brother. That's the only guy I know that ever heard of him.
Well, the finish is the double pin, and then we get these guys cutting a promo on how much they love the ECW arena, the ECW crowd. They even put over the fact, Joey puts over the fact that Dean Malenko has the microphone and he's actually going to speak. And then in the end, go ahead, Aaron.
It would have been, I was like, oh, they were like, oh, Dean Malenko's going to talk. And then it would have been funny if they would have had him like talk like Undertaker and Suburban Commando. Like, this guy's finally going to talk. He's got like a little kid's voice. Anyway,
what if he sounded gay?
Huh?
Like he grabbed a microphone and goes, "Hey,
hey, hey, y'all!
I want you all to come to Effie's big gay bash." Like, dude, what if he sounded like that? Could you imagine how the winds would have blown out of the sails if people thought Dean Malenko is so bad? He's so wait a minute, he's so gay.
Gay Dean Malenko.
Dude, I want to see a gay Dean Malenko character.
The man of 1,000 fabulous holds.
Yeah, I'm not even going to start because there's a chance I might Dean Malenko.
He comes to the ring to It's Raining Men.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a chance I might run into Dean Malenko soon. So I'm not saying shit. He's a man of 1,000 molds.
But yeah, to be honest,
I was gonna say that his finisher was the Texas Clover Queef, but that wouldn't be gay.
Queef?
Texas Clover Queef.
Was he farting on him? His little Dean Malenko put farts. That's what makes the guys tap out because he's so fucking short and small. He ain't hurt nobody with that shit. He's farting on you. He's eating cabbage before the match. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I can just imagine. Like, why don't they start doing that shit where like they either like sweeten the sound or something, or release some smell in the building. When he's got you in the Texas Cloverleaf and he's just eating cabbage.
The Texas gay Dean Malenko. That would be funny.
Because this entire episode of the show is other than the Too Cold promo is pretty much this match. This is actually the first episode of the show that, I mean, you guys can disagree with me, but I actually gave this one an A just because it's this match. And I give this match an A.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to totally disagree with you on giving it an A. I'm not going to give it an A. I would give it a solid B because the whole entire 60 minutes was built around one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not an easy thing to do. You know, you couldn't do it now. You know, I mean, good luck with that one.
Right.
Try to do it now. But yeah, for the way they presented it and the way the match worked out, yeah, it was totally. It was a home run in my book. Clearly, I still want to know about the part with the cabbage. I can't wait to tell Jeff about this one. Yeah, it was a great show.
Yeah, and like Nate said, you can't give the show a bad rating because it's Dean Malenko and fucking Eddie Guerrero, you know, but it's also just Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero. So I mean, nothing really.
And the best part is you can't go, well, it was only Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko, and you could ask anybody who watched it, was it bad? You know what I mean? Like they can go, but that's the only match that was on the. Was it bad? You know, and then eventually you would beat it out of them. No, it was great. You know, there you go. That's good television.
So the one question I have, and if you guys don't know or don't have an answer, it's fine because
is it about cabbage?
No.
All right.
It's about Eddie. It's what is either your favorite Eddie Guerrero angle?
Probably AAA with him and Art when they lost the masks or lost their hair.
Yeah, that's good.
Dude, that was like what was that 93?
Yeah, 93.
Yeah, dude, that was like 7 years ago. 7 years like ahead of his time. Like shit, you know. That's when companies were working together. You know, nobody was working together then. What, WWE in Memphis? Seriously. You know? That's when big companies were working together and they got shit over, and that drew big money. That was good shit right there, man.
It was.
You wouldn't believe the amount of hoops I had to jump through to get that fucking paper. Like I literally had to drive to the cable fucking place to get some little thing that I had to screw in the back of my box, and then put the cable thing into that box because you couldn't just order it because we didn't have that shit like then.
That was them and Latin Lover, and I can't remember who the other.
Yeah, it didn't even matter. Oh, wasn't it Perro Aguayo? Wasn't it?
Junior, yeah.
No, I don't think it was Perro Aguayo Jr. I think that was Perro Aguayo.
No, it wasn't Paraguay. I'm gonna look it up. But Nate, what's your answer?
And the Art Bar stuff is great too. But my personal favorite Eddie match. Wow, that's hard for me because like he's like my second. He's like my second or third favorite wrestler. So there's so much shit I love. I really like him and Rey Mysterio at that Halloween Havoc.
That's my personal favorite.
That's fucking fantastic.
That question mark, Ray.
Yeah. And actually, you know what? For a, and Eddie's not a little guy, but in this match he was. For a big guy, little guy match, his match with Brock, where he wins the title, is fucking great too. I mean,
yeah, it's
hard to find a bad Eddie Guerrero match, but
Bradshaw. his shit with Bradshaw was fucking unbelievable.
Yeah. God, he bled a fucking gusher in that son of a bitch.
Who's the last person that ever admitted they had a good match with Bradshaw? You know, like obviously you knew who had the boots in that match, but yeah, just like his storytelling was like different, like next level, just next level. Like I never got to work with him. I think I may have once in ECW on a spot show, but it wasn't anything. But yeah, like his storytelling was next level.
And then Aaron said Angle 2. I'll say this to me, and it you can tell the reason it was so good is because they were having such a blast doing it. But when Eddie and Chavo got to do the Los Guerreros shit in the WWE, man, that's fun. It's just fun to watch. You can just tell they're just loving working together. They're having so much fun, with the lie, cheat, and steal thing. And I mean, that shit where they do like the pool boy sketch where they're going to somebody's house posing as pool boys I mean, it's just, it's campy and it's comedy, but it's good wrestling comedy. He tells the
old ladies, your pool has a hole in it. You don't want your pool to get, your pool to get full with water, do you? I mean,
yeah, it's so funny. But you could just tell those guys were just having the time of their life working together. It was so much fun.
Like him in China.
Oh yeah, that shit was great too.
I mean, who's going to make China look good? They had to find somebody with extra fucking talent to do that shit. So they went to Eddie. Eddie made it work. I mean,
pulling up in the lowrider with a couple of roses, mommy.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, the Malenko Guerrero Classic. I know we're going. We're going a little bit long on this one right now, but that reminded me of a story that when they advertised that tape, the Malenko Guerrero Classic or whatever, they played the song "Perfect Strangers" behind it, and back at the time, I had a hotline. I had an old school answering machine that had a cassette tape in it, and it was a hotline that you call. And me and my buddy went down to the local resort on our bikes, and we were going to do the Austin Houston Classic, where we would start on one side of the street and go hit every single bar, one beer, every single bar. And I remember on my answering machine, I did 2 guys, 2 bikes, 18 bars. And then all of a sudden you would hear Perfect Strangers. Oh, dude, I mean, that shit was good, man. I was glad to be there for all that shit.
You mentioned hotlines. What's that guy? Is it Dominic Valenti that had the hotline in New York that Brian Last talks about?
Yeah.
Dominic something.
Is he the guy that just rambled?
Yes. But the thing you said about it just reminded again, of course, we were talking about Bixen Span before we went on the air, but on Between the Sheets, they were talking about that guy on this week's episode. And they said that so he had like a thing where he had people send him questions to answer. I think it's Dominic Valenti. It doesn't matter. But the funny part about it was apparently somebody had sent him a question for his hotline, and they said, "Did Ahmed Johnson play for the NFL?" And his answer was, "I don't know. But if he did, he played for the Cowboys."
All right, what the fuck?
That's like some Dave Meltzer. That's like some Dave Meltzer shit. CM Punk is going to be there next week unless he's not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it.
I got this meme. I got this meme saved. I got this meme saved from earlier that I saw this person posted. Listen to this. This is actually funny, and you guys will think it's funny. According to multiple reports reported by reporters reporting on CM Punk is reportedly being described in reports as being reported on by various reporters.
That's a work.
Yeah,
Shit.
reported by Brian Alvarez.
No, it actually says reported by Bleacher Report.
Man. Yeah. It's Bix's band. Dude, if they don't fucking do if they don't do a fucking one tomorrow, I mean a one. Seriously. I mean Seinfeld reruns get
Well, they've
one.
got to. They've got to. I'm gonna watch it, but I'm gonna be honest with you, Chad. I haven't watched. Literally, I haven't watched AEW. I haven't taken the time out of my life to watch AEW in over a month because I have
So
completely.
this show's going to be what? Is that show 2 hours?
I think so. Yes, but I have completely lost interest. So I hope this show can catch my interest because Dynamite. I haven't watched Dynamite in over a month. I don't care. I just don't care. MJF's the only good thing that I've seen. And
Punk is obviously going to have at least 2 segments tomorrow because he said in an interview that he has a lot to get off his chest. So he's going to be talking at one point. I don't know how they're going to book it, and then he's also in that 6-man, like the main event or whatever. So he's going to be working too. So you're gonna get a shit ton of Punk.
Oh yeah, it's smart. They're gonna open the show with him, I guarantee, and they're gonna end the show with him. And I mean that's smart. And I really do. I hope I'm gonna watch it, and I hope that this new show, if they hopefully they take a new approach with it, because Dynamite just lost me, man. I don't care. I don't give a shit about it.
That's the only thing that I do fucking give a shit about. Like, because a lot of times, like, it's just my part of my Wednesday night now. You know what I mean?
Right.
When I get home, it's just like, all right, I'm gonna watch Dynamite, and I'll watch it, and I'll be like, who are they pushing this week that I'm not gonna see again? In 2 weeks. Like, where the fuck's Action Andretti? Dude can't buy a vowel, much less a fucking win. You know what I mean? He beats Jericho, and all of a sudden he's on Dark.
Sounds like AEW.
And then we'll close it where I asked you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got to wrap because I got to poop.
Yeah. Well, the way I'll close is we're talking about Eddie and Dean, and them leaving for WCW. The best thing they did with Dean, because Dean's WCW run is underrated, in my opinion. But that shit with him and Chris, where Chris was like knocking him and he took the title off of him and all that shit. There is not a bigger WCW pop than Dean Malenko taking off the fucking Cyclope mask at that Slamboree at the end of that Battle Royal. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when he's going after Jericho and the cruiserweight title. Yeah.
When Dean took that fucking mask off, the fucking crowd lost their goddamn minds. And it shows the talent of the two guys. And the show shows the talent of the two guys because it's like Nate said, it's a one-match show, 2 out of 3 falls. There's no holes in the match. And
that we saw because of editing, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I doubt there was any to begin with. I'm just clarifying that just due to editing.
But I like Nate said, it's a one-match show. I'll give it an A- just because it's Eddie and Dean, and you don't get a lot better than that.
All right, guys. Any closing words for our listeners this week?
I'm just surprised we got a fucking hour and a half out of this. I thought it was going to be a 2 fucking minute show. Nate was going to say, hey. Chaz to say, hey. I was going to say, hey. And then Dean and Eddie wrestled. Have a good night.
I had a bunch of shit written down. Like I went and got milk today. Pushed a couple carts.
The length of this show is the last great contribution. Thank you, Koss, from the Iron Sheik, because he got us the first like 30 minutes of this show. So the memory of the Iron Sheik, this show is dedicated to him, one of the greats of all time.
He's top. He's top one of the greatest people of all time. Not wrestler, not sports entertainer, people. you're not gonna meet us. That shit ain't happening. They ain't making that stay. You know, when people do shit that you say you can't do that shit anymore, like when you were kids and shit, you ain't doing that on Sheik game. That it ain't happening. Yeah, rest in peace, Sheiky, baby.
Yes, I was gonna say we'll raise our frosty beverages and say R.I.P. Bubba. Thanks for the fucking entertainment.
Yo Ali, yo Allah.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.